Hello and welcome to this first of the round of 16s. We've got SURI4 in green and we've got YOINK in red. SURI4 are bringing Republic, Yamato, double Des Moines, Salem, Nevsky, Gearing and double Kleber. And I'm here with Maltese. Maltese, what do they got on the red side?
Hello, Seth. So what we got on the red side, we got a Conquer, a Yamato for the battleships, we got a Salem Minotaur, a Nevsky, a Stalingrad for the cruisers, and then for a triple destroyer, we got Gearing, Kleber, and Marceau. So we got very fast destroyers.
So I noticed immediately that the YOINK team have taken their two French destroyers and they've put them together. This is something that we've seen quite a few times before with other teams. Whereas SURI4 have split theirs. They've got one Kleber going to A and one going to C. What's the thinking with that double destroyer?
So I think they're running, so basically the double destroyer where they're stacking Marceau and Kleber, I think basically the Marceau is going to try spot the SURI4 Kleber, so the Kleber and Marceau can pile up on him instead of splitting them up. Because the thing is, when you're a solo Kleber, you can't really outspot a Marceau just because your concealment's actually worse by 0.8. So bringing that Marceau can at least allow them to spot that Kleber and reset the cap, possibly, you know? Or at least dissuade them from capping.
Do you think they'll try for the island or do you think they're just going to be a touch and go?
Seems like he's going straight for the island. CVs are in a fight state.
And this is always risky. I mean, you can see there that Astaroth has launched some torpedoes into the cap. Now, 8 kilometers, you know, you've got to be torping something really that's coming towards you. And I think CVs are in a fine state is maybe just realizing that there might be torpedoes coming. Maybe this was the plan all along. Yeah, this looks like this was a coordinated turnout. But with a double cap, with the points ticking, you know, with the cap points ticking with two ships, they're going to get this cap really quickly. And that's essentially a free cap. Nothing really in range yet to contest them. On the A cap, we've got the Kleber of Clem from SURI4 just backing into the cap here. And this is going to take a little bit longer because you've only got the one ship doing the capping. So what are YOINK going to do over on this A side to counter this Kleber?
So basically what it seems like, I mean, to counter that Kleber, all you really need is the Gearing to outspot him, or possibly maybe the A Nevsky to radar him. It has a 12-kilometer radar. He's currently actually not in range by point. Now he's in range, but I don't think he's actually going to pop it, because maybe he's not sure exactly where the Kleber is. I mean, that's really the way. You need to radar and spot it, but I don't think they're actually going to do it in time before he actually gets the cap.
While the match is a little bit quiet, I just want to explain something for people who haven't watched a competitive tournament using the spectator mode before. So we both are in, so Maltese and I are both watching this match in spectator mode, which means we can see both teams at once. Now I'm very quickly going to flick to the green team view, just so you can see what they can see, which is precisely nothing. And then the red team view, when what they can see is precisely nothing. So just bear in mind that we are most of the time going to be watching this double team view, and that doesn't necessarily mean that all these ships are spotted. So just bear that in mind. And any torpedoes that get spotted by us are not spotted by the players necessarily. So just bear that in mind as you are watching. Okay, talk me through what Flaxer is doing here in the gearing?
He's pretty much smoking the Minotaur up, I guess, and the Nevsky, so they can push him up to the cap, so then possibly the Gearing could contest A, and I guess radar any destroyer that maybe contests that Gearing. Nevsky's Hydra is actually up, but there's no real torpedo threat right now. Marceau's actually making his way towards B from YOINK. He's probably going to end up taking that for free, unless Clem has something to say about that. He's actually coming towards B too, so we might have a fight on B soon, in terms of French destroyers.
Yeah, it does look like they're going to meet. It looks like MKY Biz is going to reverse cautiously towards the cap. We'll see what Clem does. Let's take a quick look at the 9 line here. This is always a very exciting part of this map. Once things get going, yes. We've already got the Klebers going at it with their boosters. And the Salem and the Des Moines look like they're joining in as well.
YOINK seem to have done a better job here on focusing Astaroth. He's down to 15k. YOINK's Kleber is still at actually 19k, so it's a positive trade there for him.
The thing to remember with all of the destroyers in this match is that none of them have a heal. So any health that gets knocked off them is permanent. So one of the banned ships, for example, is Daring, which can actually come back a little bit after a gunfight, but these ones can't. So Astaroth is now on 15,000 for the rest of the match. Why do teams bring Salem rather than Des Moines?
So the Salem pick is meant as a more aggressive kind of Des Moines. Its radar range is shorter, yes, by 1.5 kilometers, but it can offer better survivability just because its heal is 3 times as large every time. So it's much tankier than a Des Moines. Maybe it has the same armor, but it can heal for much more, especially if it's getting HE spammed.
Okay, we've got some action going on in the center. Stalingrad has radared in the center and answered by Syria's Des Moines with the counter radar. Also, simultaneously on the A cap, Nevsky of Newbie coming under quite a lot of focus fire there.
Flaxer might actually end up taking this A cap here.
Quite possible. These Nevskys have very high DPM, but you have to be really, really careful when you're playing these Nevskys, because if you take a volley from a battleship, even a Conqueror with HE, it's going to really, really hurt. So you've got to be super, super aware of the shells that are coming. And the destroyers, if they're providing you with smokescreen, have to be super aware of where you are and where you're going. And so that's definitely going to be part of the team's communication when they're on voice together. They're going to be communicating about where the smokescreen is going to be. And of course, they will have practiced this as well.
Back on the 9-10 line, the Kleber has actually taken massive damage. Astaroth, he's down to 7k. CVs are in a fine status at 12k HP. Both teams are pretty good on this focus fire, really, on these Klebers, but it seems like YOINK is going positive on these trades. And now the Salems are actually, well, one of the Salems starting to farm the other Salem. So we're going to start seeing some damage output on those things.
Astaroth was actually running an aft fire there, so even lower health, down to 5,500. But still shooting. This stream's starting to take some fire here with Taubert. But this is where the Salems excel, right? So in a one-on-one kind of nose-to-nose, or in this case nose-to-tail fight, because if it's HE, you know, you get a fire, it doesn't really matter so much for the Salem.
This Dream has taken a lot of damage, though.
Yes, absolutely.
Compared to Taubert.
I also
can possibly heal this.
I also noticed that Nova in the Yamato is just going to sneak down into Charlie cap here. So you've got the gearing over on the A cap, just reversing in, I can see on the minimap, and then you've got Nova just sneaking into the top of the cap there.
He is going to get spotted here by the Stalingrad, so he still has to be careful, because Stalingrad still has really good artillery, and it can actually citadel the Yamato at this range. Oh, he does give the Stalingrad a heavy punch for 15,000 damage.
You mustn't underestimate that Stalingrad on your broadside, though. Ooh, yeah, see? That's
20,000.
You've got to respect it. It's got amazing guns. Oh, Minotaur, mono, from YOINK over on the A cap takes a whack there. YOINK, so Minotaur does have a very good heal. It can heal back a lot of Citadel damage, but that's still going to leave a mark. There's also torpedoes going towards that smoke screen. Let's just
Will he actually eat this torp? He might actually.
It's possible.
Yeah, he definitely does. Oh, he's down to 8,000 damage.
And this Mino is running the sci-fi camo, so it's kind of difficult to tell. But
He just got Citadel from the nose by
yes,
Republic.
he did.
That's the biggest issue with Minotaur, really. Well, it has two main issues. One, it's really squishy, and two, it only has AP. So if a destroyer angles to it, it really can't do anything to it, basically.
Okay, let's have a look here. So Kleber in the middle, Clem is going to, by the looks of it, just... He's still sideways to the edge of the cap. I'm not sure whether he's planning to try and go for the cap. You've still got the threat there of the Stalingrad radar. Marceau of Biz is coming across, maybe to try and do something about Charlie. Just maybe support those guys over on Charlie from YOINK. Yamato from YOINK has turned out into a kiting position by the looks of it. There are more Syria players there than YOINK players, so it is a good plan for them to turn into these kiting positions. Oh, massive smack there on the nose of Nova. Maltese, you still with me? You okay?
Yeah.
Cool. Just checking.
Honestly, this Yamato's kind of being super aggressive Nova here. He's probably going to end up dying. I mean, he's going to be aggressive into a Salem, Yamato, and Kleber. It's going to be really difficult to come out of this alive.
Yeah, and
especially since they're prepared for it. They're all kited away and shooting him, so...
They didn't get the cap with the Yamato either. It was actually Astaroth that got the cap, so... I mean, if they wanted to get the Yamato onto the 9 line, they could have taken it around the top, potentially.
Possibly.
And it wouldn't have taken those shots from the Stalingrad.
He's on fire. He might just end up dying here for sure. I mean, Yamato shoots him one more time. He overmatches his nose and probably ends up killing him. Here's a shot.
Yep.
Here's a kill.
Nova goes down. So that puts... so let's have a look at the points clock. So let me explain what's going on at the top of the screen here for those of you who are newer to tournaments. So you can see there is obviously the normal points that you would get in a domination match. So you've got 435 versus 682. But then above that, there's a mod which is showing you who wins if nothing else changes. And currently the green team, SURI4, will be the winners if nothing else changes.
Thing is, the YOINK actually has to do something here, right? Right now, I mean, they have an HP advantage, but it's only by 10,000, so it's not actually that much. And they do have a cap disadvantage. And they did lose one of their radars on A, so that's quite unfortunate for them.
Astaroth and the Kleber actually managing to get away from CCAP under fire from the Marceau without taking any damage. So good dodging there. We've got Des Moines of Joris in the center, which has moved into a very forward position, I would say, although there's no immediate threat.
He's relatively safe, I think, in his position right now, unless the Yamato ends up getting a shot. But the Yamato is getting pushed off by the Salem Des Moines, who are in a really good position because they're abusing of these islands. And that's how you're supposed to play these Des Moines and Salems. You're trying to get close to these islands and try to be super aggressive with them. Because, I mean, it's quite hard to unhinge them from these islands. You have to literally either push up a destroyer to YOLO them or a battleship. And the thing is, the battleship got pushed off really hard.
So we will rapidly be approaching 800 points for YOINK here. But, of course, SURI4 with the 2 caps are going to overtake them at some point. So although YOINK have the points lead, as we were just saying, they do need to do something. So looking at the minimap, what do you think they're going to be looking to do here?
Possibly maybe using these 2 French destroyers and making a play on C, maybe. Maybe both of them could possibly kill Astaroth somehow, maybe. Maybe even YOLO the Des Moines through an island, like first go through C and then go for the, Des Moines.
Talking of YOLOs, I think Clem is going for Climax. Let's have a look here.
He might actually kill him. I mean, Stalingrad cannot kill a Kleber like this ever, so...
His heart will be thumping right now as he comes through. You got it. Rule number 1 of making a charge like this is make sure you land all your torps.
Oh, he missed one, but he still got the kill. Even if he dies, honestly, it's honestly a worth it trade. Because they can't really contest B either way.
You get rid of that that radar threat and also broadside threat, because Stalingrad, of course, can cross-map quite nicely. Okay, well, he gets away alive. You've got the gearing of Flaxer coming over. Flaxer is actually still full health.
Bear on the 9 lines actually getting focused by 2 a Des Moines and a Salem, which is basically 2 Des Moines in terms of firepower. So he's actually down to 9k HP already. And I don't think he has a heal available right now. So if the Des Moines actually gets shots on him, they might actually finish him off. And
simultaneously, I'm trying to catch both at once. Clem is under fire from CV's in a refined state, and pretty much everyone else, and Clem goes down. Biz has pushed into Charlie.
As he seems to be shooting at the Salem. So be careful. So he torped at the Des Moines, expecting the Des Moines to reverse, but the Des Moines actually has Hydra running, so he's not going to fall for that one.
Taubert is still under fire here, 2-9.
2.9k HP. He's doing the game return, which means he's turning full broadside. Nothing can really punish him. Okay, he's actually turning back in because the Kleber started shooting him. I don't think he has a heal available.
No, and it's gonna be... I think it's gonna be too late.
200?
The heal does run quickly because it's a big heal, but I think shells are in the air.
No, there's a...
he got to it. He got to the heal.
Oh,
so which means he can probably he can probably out heal this HE DPM here.
That means possibly the Yama can actually finish the SURI4 Salem here, maybe, possibly. If he can arc that. I actually don't think he can arc that rock, though. Radar comes out from the Salem to keep Taubert spotted. You
can see on the minimap we've got Kleber pushing into Bravo. I'm just going to keep an eye on Astaroth here.
MK Biz is running at Astaroth. He's running at him, though, full speed. He wants this kill.
Absolutely.
And in the meantime, CVs are in a fine state. Is actually moving into the B cap.
And it looks like with backup from Flaxer as well. Flaxer has dumped some torps up towards the Republic and the Nevsky. Conqueror also coming across. They seem to have decided to pretty much abandon A. They've left the Nevsky there.
Astaroth's probably gonna end up going down here. He does. And Salem should probably just end up ramming Choco here. That would probably be the best solution for him.
So Yoink now with both the points advantage and shortly the cap advantage as well. Tobert might go down. Choco's in a bit of a sandwich.
Tobert does end up dying.
So that does give Syria a tiny bit more breathing space, but they still need to take action on B particularly. I think Choco's going to try and get to Charlie.
Gearing A to Torp from Kleber. On B.
Flaxer just torpedoed the island. I'm not entirely sure why. Joe is gonna... Now, Joe's got to be pretty careful here because while they do need to control some caps, that's a lot of firepower. If a Conqueror hits you at close range with its HE as a destroyer, that's gonna really hurt. So this Conqueror here, who is practically on full health, is a real threat.
I think that's why they're bringing the Des Moines down. To try maybe deal with the Conqueror. Make him go away.
I'm just watching. You can tell a lot from where the ships are pointing their guns as to what they're thinking. I was just watching the Conqueror. They're pointing its guns at the gap. Skytex Republic is coming over. Choco is still fighting with Biz in the background there. Choco down to about 10k.
It's not that easy to hit the French destroyer. Like, even though it's a heavy cruiser versus a destroyer, normally it's quite hard to actually hit a French destroyer. And even if you hit them, they have an improved like saturation, and where when they're low HP, you tend to do less damage than you would other destroyers. So they're very hard to kill, even if they don't have a heal.
Okay, we've reached 934 points now for Yoink. With 2 minutes.
Joris is pushing up into B. Oh, Choco does go down 980 points.
And that brings us down to 12 points on the points clock. If you look at the top of the screen, that's about 3 ticks left now. 992 for a Yoink win.
That's the game, I think, unless something crazy. Yeah,
okay. So Yoink, eventually reasonably convincing. It took a little while for them to get going, but they take the first of this best of 3. So all the matches you're going to be seeing today are best of 3s. So we will be seeing Syria and Yoink again very shortly, as Syria try to level up. Of course, if Yoink go 2-0, then Yoink will be going through. And so now, for a bit of analysis, we'll hand back to Prague.
It's basically to Des Moines in terms of firepower. So it's actually down to 9k HP already.
Welcome back.
I don't think he has a heal available right now.
Unbelievable,
So
and very close towards the end. We saw a lot of thing going
simultaneously. I'm trying to catch both at once. Clem is under fire from CB.
Our guests have to say about this match. Pingu, wow, that got pretty close towards the end, right?
Seems to be shooting at the
As I just said, we had a pretty aggressive push in the beginning on the C cap. It was, but then it got kind of stationary on all fronts.
My apologies. We seem to have a bit of a signal crossing in the background. I'm going to sort it out in a second. In the meantime, Mr. Chrysanthus will keep you entertained.
Okay, sorry guys. Just give us a moment. So yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this match. Mr. Como is just quickly fixing something in the background. I just want to highlight to you that you still have 10 minutes or by now when this reaches you 5 minutes, to actually give us your prediction for who do you think is going to win or going to advance to the last stage of the tournament, the last Final Four that you will be seeing tomorrow, playing in the semi-finals. While we are waiting for Mr. Conway to fix this, also a reminder about Twitch drops. You can earn the King of the Sea containers for this tournament through missions. That has been the case for the entire tournament. Each day you will be able to get your hands on a separate mission after watching King of the Sea for 90 minutes on any channel that is broadcasting King of the Sea. And what else? We also have... Mr. Kobe is not fixed yet. We also have, of course, not just the EU broadcast that is happening today, No, we will also have the official NA broadcast happening tomorrow. So if you want to see how the NA teams are going to be playing, you can also find this tomorrow on the official channel. Not today, though. Today we will be hosting Lord Zath with his broadcast later today to make sure you can also see which teams are going to be playing. And it looks like it's fixed now, so that's great. Is it? Not for me, Mr. Conway.
Well, guys, can you say something?
Give me a second.
Private Penguin, how was that game? Can you hear me?
Sorry, I just can't hear the broadcast as well, so I'm not sure what's happening. I'm sorry. It's just like a mumble of voices in my head.
Okay, guys, sorry. We seem to have a small sound issue in the background here, mostly caused by the fact that we made a small change during the game, which, of course, as you know, never change a running system. We're currently trying to figure out why we cannot hear the guys, because we should be able to hear them loud and clear. Can you just sound off in Discord for me?
My problem is I hear the broadcast.
Okay. Give me just 1 minute, and my apologies, guys. This is
Sorry, guys. Give us like 1 minute to fix this. Of course, there had to be a sound issue.
Of course, there had to be a sound issue. Whereas there was, of course, no sound issue at all during the initial test, it then suddenly crept up now. I think maybe I have a solution for it.
So I hope you guys don't hear all of this at the same time as I do.
So they're very hard to kill,
just as
even if they
confused
don't
as
have
I
a
am.
heal.
Yeah, otherwise,
Okay,
what
we've
can
reached
I highlight to you? First of all,
934 points now.
don't forget
for
today is
YOINK.
Victory Day, so we have plenty of stuff going on in the game as well. So if you are interested in, for example, getting a Kirov for free and a special new camouflage, you can do this this weekend and throughout the next week by just playing the game and doing the combat missions. We also have a lot of different discounts in the game currently happening, and then hopefully we will be back to King of the Sea in a few minutes, because of course we're going to be seeing the next match and potentially see whether SURI4 can come back from the first lost match, because of course this is a best of 3, so the team has to actually get 2 points to be able to advance to the next stage.
We're almost there, gentlemen. Almost there. I have this is like one of the most bizarre sound issues I've encountered before. Let's see. Guys on Discord, give us one more test. No.
Okay, why don't we do a quick tech break, Mr. Conway? Can you push us into a tech break, and we'll be back in 2 minutes.
We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies.
we're back. Sorry for this mumble jumble of voices. I hope everything is fixed now. And we can go back to King of the Sea and actually talk about this match. Or probably the teams are probably already readying up to be ready for the next match. I very rudely interrupted Pingu and Painsor discussing this match. So to get back, what was the most surprising thing that you saw in this match, Painsor?
We don't hear it.
Withdraw Des Moines from the B cap and then send it all the way back, which freed up the B cap as well. What do you think, Penguin?
Yeah, sure. That was definitely a pretty great play there from the Marceau, because in the end it was super close. I think you all saw that, and the points were ticking. YOINK managed to get back both caps on the right side, B cap and C cap, and I think the Marceau did a really great job in luring away the Des Moines of SURI4 from getting back into the cap and resetting or capturing it back for their team. And another thing that is to mention is the rush of the Kleber in the middle on the Stalingrad, which was a good call there, because I think the trade half HP Kleber against a almost full HP Stalingrad is always a good trade. But it was not worth it in the end, sadly, because the points ticked too high there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that overall, what I loved most about this match is just how both teams managed to get into the caps back and forth. Because if you take a look at, YOINK being very good with the early capping, but SURI4 was always trying to get back into the caps and just stealing it away from YOINK, because the points, as you can see, are the main contributing factor to most of the wins. Yes, you can kill a ship and it will help you with the points, but overall, cap control will win the match, and that was just very interesting to see. Yeah, overall, I think that was a very interesting match here, and so many things happening all over the place. I was a bit surprised to see that the Minotaur got caught that early on and actually nuked with basically just good focus fire and great aim by the Republic that early on. Why do you think they actually brought a Minotaur, Payne?
The Minotaur was simply just to provide some sort of radar control on the smoke screen there. So you have the Nevsky, the Minotaur, and the gearing. So the gearing smokes up the Minotaur and the Nevsky, and then you send the like anything pushes into that, you have a wall of DPM from both the Minotaur and the Nevsky just to nuke the destroyer. The problem was they had some really good blind fire in that smoke screen. The Minotaur ate 2 torpedoes, I believe, and
yes,
also just blind fire from the Republic and the Nevsky. And I hear the team's readying up in the background, so if we would like to go back to the studio.
Yes. Oh, yes. So we see that the teams are now readying up. So, of course, we will be handing over to our casters in a second. But, chat, what do you think? Is SURI4 going to be able to win this back? I'll ask my co-casters here, what do you think? Payne, who's going to win this one?
I think this might go 2-1. This looks like a very close series. I'm hoping to see it to go 2-1.
Okay, Pingu, your guess?
I definitely am up for a 1-1. So sure, SURI4, go for it. We want to see a third game.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So SURI4, please go ahead and win this match. We want to see a third match and see who's going to advance. So see you on the other side and have fun with the next match.
Have fun.
Okay, welcome back to game 2 of this series. YOINK are currently 1-0 up against SURI4, and they've changed ends, by the way, so YOINK are now in green. And they are bringing Conqueror, Kremlin, Des Moines, Moskva, double Nevsky, Gearing, and double Kleber. And Maltese has the red team over on the other side, SURI4.
So for SURI4, they actually brought a double Conqueror for their battleships. They brought 2 Des Moines, a Nevsky, a Stalingrad for the cruisers, and for their triple destroyer, they got Gearing, Kleber, Grozovoy, which is quite interesting. We haven't really seen too many Grozovoys.
No, we haven't. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Grozovoy. I think it's often overlooked for competitive, or certainly has been recently. Have you got any idea why they might be bringing?
So I think, what they're trying to do here with Groz is Daring's banned, right? So they want a destroyer with a heal, I think. And they don't want to bring a Holland. They want one with smoke, possibly, so they're going to bring the Grozovoy. I assume that's kind of the role the Grozovoy serves, because it has the same detection as Daring. It doesn't have the Hydro, okay, but I guess it's more maneuverable, too.
How much does like the player's comfort with a ship come into the choices? So could it be that maybe this player is really good in a Grozavoy?
Maybe he just enjoys the Grozavoy, or maybe he just wants a destroyer with a heal. Maybe they were gonna use Daring here, but since it got banned from them by YOINK, they have to use the something else, and they're just not gonna bring a Holland, because the thing is, Holland has a heal, yes, but it doesn't have a smoke. Possibly, you know, maybe he wants to smoke up the Des Moines or something.
Makes sense. Okay, so Kleber of Biz is going to get B cap for free. He's going to be just within that Stalingrad's radar range just as the cap finishes, I think. But SURI are probably not in a position to do very much about that because he's just going to escape out through the back. Actually firing there on Astaroth.
Yeah, there's shots here.
One of the things that you'll notice about really high-level competitive play is that the focus fire is on point. So if a ship is spotted and the caller calls for that ship to be shot at, every ship that has guns that can shoot will already probably be trained on that ship, and they will be definitely firing, and they will hit you. So this is not like random battles.
Nothing at all, yeah. Like random battles where if you ask someone to focus him, the people will do the opposite of what you want them to do.
Yeah, so this is, you know, you got to remember that all these teams, both of these teams are in their own voice channels. And they will be absolutely coordinating where to be looking, what to look out for, what's radared, what's hydroed, where torps are going, all this kind of stuff. They'll be constantly communicating. Okay. So A and B currently in YOINK's hands. That's going to give them an early points lead, because those points will tick up pretty quickly here. We've got Kleber, CVs in a fine state, just sitting behind that island in A, just holding it. Clem in the Grozavoy is starting to move up the one line now. He's going to be very careful here because Mono...
He will find a Des Moines up in his face, yes, but he does outspot it from his radar range. Now, looking at the 9 line, the Gearing's actually starting to lay a smoke here. Flaxter is laying a smoke for the double Nevsky. They might be doing, you know, a push down the 10 line with those double Nevskys and then the Kremlin a bit tighter, you know. On the south side, they only have really one Nevsky, but they have the Des Moines for crossfire, just in case. So we'll see what they're going to try to do with this.
Okay, so that first set of torpedoes behind Melvin is probably not... No, that's not going to go anywhere. And they run out long before they reach Flaxer, so that's quite safe. This is quite a... This smoke screen is quite a long way back. They've already moved into this kiting position, these two Nevskys. They're definitely not looking to push. I'm guessing that these Nevskys are just covering the cap with their radar.
They're not even in radar range of the cap.
Are they not?
14 kilometers away, so they're basically a kilometer and a half away from their actual radar range. So
that strikes me as being maybe a misplay. I don't know what their plan here is with these kiting Nevskys, but you'd think that they would want to be in radar range of the cap, just in case that gearing goes in.
Astaroth made his way towards B here. Stalingrad is also on B. I think SURI might possibly try and make a play here for B. They need to unhinge Biz somehow. That's kind of the only way. I guess they can hold the points, but...
They also have... I don't know if Sange over on the A cap has cross shots. Let's just have a look. Oh, yeah, no, definitely. I think it will depend on the build of the Des Moines, but if he can reach that, he can definitely hit it.
Does have shots. Who can pressure the Kleber? Astaroth's actually pushing up here.
Okay, let's see what... Now, this may just be a movement to just block the points income. I don't think... Yeah, Astaroth's going to reverse in. This isn't designed to dislodge Biz here. This is just to get a bit of points control, because you can already see, like, even with those two caps, that YOINK have already more than a 200-point advantage. So, Biz will now know that Invader is in the cap. Grozavoy is also moving in to block A. That's going to completely block the points income.
Nothing's going to radar him, and he also outspots the Kleber, so he'll know if he's coming back to contest.
Okay, radar out from Newbie. That means Biz is spotted. Let's see if Sange takes a shot. Trevi's got the range. No, guns turning. Don't forget that there is a 6-second draw delay for the non-radaring ships. There we go, shots out. Looks like Clem will get the A cap because CV's in refined state has left.
Flexer is trying to contest C here.
I'm trying
I'm
to
sure if
catch...
the streams have... Oh, he got radared?
It's one of those games where there's stuff going on all 3 caps at once.
Everywhere.
I'm trying to catch everything. So Newbie's radar is down, so that means Biz is dark. Astaroth is just going to keep contesting, so it looks like B is going to be just a bit of a stalemate for now. I think the action is going to be on Charlie temporarily. So we got
yeah, but on 8 is the Moin's actually getting shot at. He's down to 28k.
Oh.
But actually, I think he's going to manage to go dark. I think the biggest play that can happen is at C right now on both teams.
So radar out from Sanj in the Des Moines on A to allow Clem to take some shots at CVs. Clem is actually not completely flat broadside in the smoke, but reasonably so, and there are torpedoes coming. Reservoir isn't the biggest destroyer, so he should be fine. Yeah, absolutely fine with those torps.
He is.
Back over on Charlie. We've got Nevsky of Elsa sitting in the smoke.
Flexer got pressured
over.
off by the Des Moines. He's actually down to 6,000 HP, so he's gonna find it really hard to contest that C cap again.
Yeah, I think this is gonna give Joe the ability to actually finally be able to get into the cap. Maybe head over towards that island.
Yeah.
Where
The Nevskys are really far away right now.
I'm still surprised about how far away they are. Okay, they're facing superior numbers, but actually no, they're not, because the Kremlin's on that corner as well. And Joe needs to be really careful, because at close range, the Kremlin's accuracy is murderous.
It can be really good, yeah.
Yeah.
And it can hurt him a bunch, especially if he loads HE.
Just noticing
Gearing's
the
quite a
background.
big ship.
Astaroth, it's very tall in the water as well. Astaroth, I've noticed, is just reversed a little bit further into the cap, maybe hoping to catch Biz if he makes a move.
CVs are in a fine state, actually made a run into A, so he's also holding that one. So there's no point sticking right now.
Sanj shots out onto Biz again. That's a radar out from Newbie, I think. Clem just ducking out of the cap here at A, hoping to maybe get a spot on CVs, actually, going around the island. Yes, we're going to get contact between CVs at a fine state and Clem.
Kleber does beat the Grozvoy if he has a reload booster, so he has to be careful, even if he has a heal.
That was definitely a booster. Kleber gets that short duration consumable, which increases its reload just very temporarily. So as we were saying at the beginning,
positive on the trades.
Clem does get a heal after this battle is over, assuming that Clem survives. Currently running a fire, DCP, I think.
I think this Kleber is just going to take A. There's nothing really that can stop him from taking it right now. Conquer is actually pushing up, but I mean, I don't think he'll ever get a shot.
So still no points income for either team, and of course that means YOINK still holding the points lead from before. Okay, Kleber of Astaroth leaving the B cap. Not sure what the plan is here. They're actually moving him around the island. That's a radar out from Moskva, I think. No, that might be Hydra. Okay, Biz is leaving. Biz is leaving the cap. Astaroth reversing back in. Maybe they're sending Biz to C, but they know that Astaroth is behind the island.
He needs to be careful making a crossing.
Does Stalingrad have shots on this gap here? Yes, he does.
He does.
Oh, is Biz going around?
Des Moines just radared. Des Moines just radared. They know Biz is here.
That's when the player who's making the rush suddenly has a bit of a panic. Because they were hoping they wouldn't be spotted. The radar is well timed. Well, that's a nice shot there from Newbie.
CVs are in fine state. Actually ends up going down. Oh, the Conqueror pushed up really hard. He's actually super aggressive here in his Conqueror. Don't really see that too much from Conqueror players. They don't really push up too much, because it is best suited at longer ranges.
Yeah, we have seen throughout the tournament, we have seen quite a lot of Conqueror, and yes, they do tend to play a little bit further back, probably because at the moment, obviously, Deadeye is still in the game, and so they get that accuracy bonus. But yeah, no, we have seen a few little pushes from Conquerors here and there. But Sky being...
Sky needs to be careful here. He's going to get 2v1 here by Toshka and Mono. So.
And that Des Moines can absolutely Citadel him at close range. Conqueror has what I call the Sombrero Citadel. So it's got the normal shaped Citadel, and then it's got this sort of flat deck-like Citadel that sits above it, above the waterline. And Des Moines can absolutely hit that.
Oh, Mono actually has to be careful here, because the thing is, Grozovo AP can actually do a lot of damage on a broadside Des Moines.
True,
Maybe not
as we've
Citadel
seen.
him. High Alpha. Oh, Biz does end up going down on the other side. There's so much going on.
Yeah, we're going to struggle to show you absolutely everything. Yeah, no, you can see that AP on Mono being very, very effective there.
He's down to 12k. He was at like 30,000 before this engagement.
I'm expecting SkyTech to try to ram Toshka.
Might be his goal, yeah.
Torpedo's going towards Mono. I think he's backed around far enough. But, I mean, on 5-3, running a heal.
He has to accelerate now because the Conqueror is going to come behind him. And the gearing goes down to Torps. There's just a lot happening.
So try and, as well as watching what I'm watching, try and keep your eyes, dear audience, on the mini-map because there is a lot going on. Okay, I just want to see what happens to Mono. I think Mono is absolutely going to go down, yep. So let's see if this does end up in a ram. Ooh, Toshka just got chunked there.
Toshka's actually down to 26k. Now he's losing the trade. That's because the Conqueror just healed. As we know, Conqueror has a super heal. It's around 40,000 HP, which is incredible, actually.
So, as SkyTech comes around, we're going to see... he's setting his guns up for a drive-by. Toshka also doing the same.
Healing. I think SkyTech starts might just be a bit better position. Ooh, he doesn't actually finish him off.
Nope, neither ship going down. Toshka running a heal.
His back turrets. Might get a better shot here.
Yeah, SkyTech's turned in, which... Oh, to try and get the... Ooh. Yeah. So SkyTech was trying to get the Citadels through the aft because the transom is flat. You can absolutely pen that, but didn't manage to get it, and then Toshka finishes him off.
Stalingrad goes down on B. The Des Moines actually pushing up the streams, but it's too risky. You can't push up broadside to two Nevskys, so he does actually end up going down really quickly because Nevsky AP is really powerful.
So during that engagement, Astaroth has gone down to 1400. Taubert pushing into the middle of B, and will probably cap that. And of course, Choco and Clem are on their own over on the Alpha Cap now and free to come over towards B. We've got a massive ship advantage for Syria.
HP advantage is only 10,000, but yeah, there's just so many ships alive, and the thing with ships alive is there's a lot of DPM alive. Even though maybe the HP is the same, you still have more DPM going out on that HP. So
all other things being equal, most guns usually wins.
Yeah.
Okay, AP out from Kremlin on Elsa in the Nevsky. Doesn't connect. Moskva trying to cap B, but coming under some fire there from all angles.
He's probably going to end up going down. He's crossfired. I mean, he's surrounded. It's going to be really difficult for YOINK to even come back from this one. I mean, there's...
Which, of course, from a caster's point of view, is what you want, because what we always want is a 1-1, because that's obviously more exciting than a 2-0. So it does look right now like we are going to see an equalizer match.
Game 3.
Yeah, it does look like Taubert here is in a bit of trouble. Not really able to do very much. Not able to cap because they keep getting resets. Every time a ship gets hit when it's trying to cap, the cap points get reset. So if you're watching the cap diamond, you'll keep seeing that green wedge decreasing as Taubert gets hit.
He's actually taken longer to die than I actually expected, to be honest.
I think that's down to like the Kleber and the gearing and the Des Moines who are shooting are quite a long way away.
The Conqueror just needs to shoot him once and he'll probably die here.
I think he's actually... Oh, there we go. As you were saying. Right. We've got Tenshi and Melvin, the last two remaining YOINK players in the cap. There are torps coming towards Melvin.
There are torps.
Tenshi, I think, is okay.
He's gonna take 1.
1's okay. 3 minutes 45 left on the game clock, 4 minutes on the points clock for a Syria win. Syria don't really have to do anything right now.
Yeah, they can literally walk away and just hold B and just win the game right now. Just wait for them to push and then punish their push, basically, with all these ships.
They'll just keep these 3 south of the A cap. I think they'll just keep them there, maybe move them slightly underneath B. The 3 coming over from A will just push into B and stop that from being capped. I would imagine that the Kremlin and the Nevsky will push together into B, just try and limit the number of ships that are shooting at them at once. But nope, they're actually separating. Like, okay, last stand, see you later. You kill those 3, I'll kill these 3. See you in the finals. Okay, I think it's going to get pretty interesting for Melvin very shortly. AP in from Des Moines is a miss.
Just missing. Nevsky is a really fast ship, to be fair. It goes like 37, 38 knots.
Yeah.
Radar comes up. Not really much.
Yeah, maybe able to get Astaroth down here.
He could. He could kill Astaroth.
So just to be clear, this isn't, although it does look quite bad for YOINK, this is, and it's not a completely foregone conclusion. I mean, I have seen comebacks during King of the Sea from positions like this where just everything suddenly goes a certain player's way. And
yeah.
But it's
just
not
at the same time, though, Kremlin pushing into a Conqueror, I mean, it's really difficult for sure. Especially, and then Nevsky pushing into a Des Moines, because Des Moines does have the advantage in that situation. And the girls' voice torping him, so.
Yeah, Melvin does have Hydro up, so it has to stop there. As you say, in the background there, you can see Tenchi being just DPM down.
Yeah, by a Conqueror and a Nevsky.
Melvin's going to take a torp.
Conqueror's back up to full HP.
Of course. So yeah, one of the really strong points of Conqueror is that super heal. It enables them to heal back all that fire damage they've been taking and a considerable amount of other damage. And as long as they can break their contact, as long as they can not be shot for a while, go dark, it means they can maintain their health through the game and really bring that hit point pool to use.
Well, we're going to game 3.
We are going to game 3. It's very, very exciting. So Syria equalizing against YOINK 1-1. This is a best of 3. So the next game you see in the series will be the decider, and we'll decide who goes through to the quarterfinals later today. Let's pass back now to Prague.
Wow, Syria definitely wanted to stay in this tournament and showed us why they actually made it this far and took that point off of YOINK in a actually quite impressive fashion. So let's get back, Private Penguin and Painter, and talk about this match. And actually today we also trying to use some additional tools to talk a bit about the matches that we've just seen. For example, this beautiful tool here from World of Water Tactics, actually a tool that was developed for World of Tanks, but it also supports World of Warships. So if you want to talk about the matches or tactics with your friends, you can also use this website completely for yourself. But Painter, let's talk a bit about the beginning of the match and how YOINK actually got a very early cap advantage.
Yeah, so at the start of the game, we saw that they just rushed their Kleber straight into this cap. They also rushed their Kleber straight into this cap. Meanwhile, Syria decided that they were going to send their Kleber and Grozovoy over to the A cap, but they just never managed to get in. They had the radar control, like just keeping it out. They ended up having a quick little scrap between the two Klebers. This one managed to get itself dislodged in, and then this Kleber had to rotate back over the B cap, which meant they were ticking both A and B at the same time, and that meant Syria had to do something about it. And what did they do with that, Penguin?
Well, in the beginning, they did absolutely nothing. Actually, it was a pretty static game. We had in the B cap 2 DDs blocking each other, supported by 2 cruisers. There was nothing going on. Most time of the game, there was a fight on A cap. They tried to crossfire the Kleber that was hiding behind the island. Later on, they were capping the cap. Syria capped the cap, again. Then it went back to, they pushed out the Grosserway, that it went back to YOINK. And then the Kleber made a mistake and stayed behind the island. And that was part of a tactic of SURI4, which happened to start winning the game for them, because they started to push inside with the Conqueror on the right side of the Kleber, and the Grosserway started to push on the left side of the Kleber, and they tried to crossfire it out, and it worked. The Conqueror pushed the Kleber out and kept moving towards the Des Moines and the Conqueror, the enemy Conqueror, and I think everybody saw that, how it ended. Painter, how did it end?
It ended up with a very broadside, like, basically this Des Moines got whittled down. I haven't got the pinger tool on, 1 second. This Des Moines managed to get himself whittled down by the crossfire from the Grosserway and the Des Moines from here. Then this Conqueror basically just ended up finishing off this, finishing it off. And I've just pressed the back button and now I can't see the screen.
Yeah, but this is the great thing about King of the Sea, and what I always like, what makes it so interesting for me, is that you see a push like this happening, right? You have the Conqueror here on the right side pushing up. You have the Grosserway on the other side preparing to also fight against the Des Moines, plus the other Des Moines pushing up, and like you can see like how the team is communicating, how they kind of see that, okay, we have to do something. We are 200 points behind, because at that point, due to the early caps from YOINK, this is how they kind of put pressure on the enemy team, right? Saying, hey, we have the caps now do something about it. And SURI4 was very quick to react, and then decided, okay, that Conqueror in that position is not really going to be able to do much, and we don't really have the angle against the Des Moines and the Kleber to actually do something with the Grosserway, so we have to bring in the big guns. And just pushed in the Conqueror, and the Conqueror just kept going. And I really loved that push. And on the other side, on C, a completely different battlefield. On B, the back and forth. It's so much happening in these competitive matches. It's just crazy. Like how these teams manage to just keep an eye on all of these different aspects, and the FC being able to coordinate all of the different pushes that have to happen already like 2-3 minutes in advance, because World of Warship is not a game where you say like, hey, you go there and you'll be there in 30 seconds, but of course you have to coordinate and get there in time. Very impressive. What I found very interesting personally was the whole decision around B as well, with the SURI4 Kleber kind of blocking the B cap for most of the game. And then he kind of, like, he pretended to leave it, triggering Biz to actually go and say like, oh, you know what, I'll actually help on C because my team is not doing very well there, and suddenly leaving the B cap. And on C there was so much action going on that he actually died very early on than over there. What do you think about that whole C battle, Pingu?
In the beginning it was pretty static as well. I mean, we had on both sides a smoke train, smoke deployed by Gearings and Nevskis behind. On the side of YOINK we had 2 Nevskis. On the side of SURI4 we had 1 Nevsky. And both teams stood pretty far away of the cap. That's why we were not able to see a lot of change on this side. It changed then later on. As you just said, the Kleber of YOINK went in between the 2 islands, between Bravo and Charlie, and tried to help there, but got caught in a crossfire again between the Kleber of SURI4, which happened to stay on this island, and I think the Kleber got caught in the hydro of the Des Moines, either the hydro or the radar, and got caught by other ships sailing on this side. So there was another ship, Ligon A, in a trap that got killed, and in the end YOINK lost a lot of HP there, lost a lot of ships there, and were not able to push back. Actually, they tried on Charlie, but they were not able to get back any points then, and the points flipped for SURI4, and then SURI4 took the win.
Yeah, the interesting point for me was to see that if you take a look at how the HP pool for both teams developed, and this is actually something that I have to highlight here, this is a very, very cool tool from one of our community guys who actually developed a tool where you can just send a replay to a bot, and it will create a little bit of a, like a, TLDR of the match by just showing you what happened on the minimap. And we actually asked our friend here to do this for 2 replays, and now you can actually see what happened over the course of the entire match in a 1-minute fast forward. And overall, SURI4 had a much better HP management compared to YOINK, because YOINK, even though they had a similar amount of HP pool, even towards the end, they didn't have the ships. So SURI4 did a much better job at converting kills and distributing kind of the damage that they're taking as a team over the entire team, being able to still keep the DPM, the spotting through the DDs, for example, because YOINK lost 2 Clay Bears actually as the first 2 ships compared to SURI4. So overall, I was very impressed here by SURI4, and I hope you also like this kind of replay functionality that you can also use for yourself.
Cool.
Mr. Conway, if you can quickly jump in on how could a player get their hands on this? Where do they have to join?
So right now, this spot is only available in a few select places, but if you would like to play around with it as a regular person, you can join Flumber's Discord, or I believe the other Discord server it is available on is the Dark Lab. But we're going to have a chat to him afterwards. After
And
Kots has
the
finished
player who developed this, if I'm not mistaken, it's Call Me Daddy?
Not your father.
Not your father. Not your father. See, I just remember it was something like this.
But we're gonna
Not your father. Not your father. Luke! It's actually perfect.
But we're going to try and see if we can roll this out to the Global King of the Sea community Discord afterwards if he's interested. So potentially, keep an eye on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, this is something that I love about, all of the community activities that we have, and so many people have actually, like, just the idea of, hey, how can we make this better, and how can we show off things? Cool. So, talking about the next and final match of this series, we're going to be seeing now who's going to advance to the next stage. This is an elimination stage at this point, and the last map is going to be Northern Waters. Now, Pinky, what do you think YOINK is going to change compared to the last match to kind of throw SURI4 off their game?
To be honest, I'm not quite sure if they are going to change anything. We have seen them using Klebears as fast DDs in every match till now. I think right on this map, maybe they will change one of their fast destroyers to a more all-rounder shaped destroyer with better concealment, maybe better torpedo ability to torp enemy ships. We have on the A side, on the left side, a pretty bad cap for both teams, because there is so much possibilities to hide radar cruisers and so less possibilities to cap without being detected. I'm interested how they will play on this side. What do you think, Painter?
I think they probably should stick with the double fast destroyers because it's been working for them so far, and you can use the double fast destroyers on both A and C. If anything, I might see a shift to having a third French destroyer instead of just the 2. Like, they can get a lot of fast things done on this map, especially with the daring band, the universal destroyer that you would use if you want the stealthy fighty one. That's not going to be at B cap anymore, so could be seeing some management players around B cap with the Klebears as well.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see whether one of the teams might be bringing a set 52 maybe for the mid cap, because that position is always very important, and having potentially Hydro might be a very strong tool. We'll have to see. I actually saw teams banning the set 52 for similar reasons, and of course, on the A cap on the left, the interesting aspect is also about how you can actually get these radar cruisers into the position. And this also comes back to kind of like the ship bans that we've seen. The teams rather focused on banning the Daring and the Harugumo than any of the radar cruisers. There's a lot of choice, obviously, by now, and teams cannot bring the globally banned Petropavlovsk, but the move to getting the ship to the island on the 1 line in the middle is a very powerful move, but also a very risky and sometimes short-lived move where you can lose the game, or at least the initial advantage, very quickly. Now, I do see that the teams are jumping into the battle, so roughly 1 minute. So I'll just ask around here, Pingu, who do you think is going to take this one?
Oh, it's a hard question. Can I say I am a German CZ, right? Do I have to be neutral there?
No,
because it's a German team against a French team. Of course, I do want to see YOINK win. But
okay, I have to cut you short because it's almost starting.
Yes.
So YOINK for you, Painter. What is your team pick?
I'm gonna go with YOINK. I think YOINK have it.
Okay, so I'll just be the evil German guy and say, "Here, SURI4, you really You really impressed me. So I think you got it in you to win this one. So let's see who's going to win. We'll find out on the other side. Enjoy the match.
Here we go for the third game of this best of 3 series between SURI4 and YOINK, currently at 1-1. The winners of this will go through and the losers will go out. So let's have a look at SURI4's lineup. We've got double Yamato, double Des Moines, Nevsky, Stalingrad, Gearing, Kleber, and Grozovoy, so 3 destroyers this time. And then Malta has the red team.
So for YOINK, they've got a Conquer Yamato, Salem, Minotaur, double Moskva, and then for their destroyers, they've got Gearing, double Kleber. So they stayed with their French destroyers. They seem to like it, so probably really comfortable with it. Kind of interesting is no one brought a Z52, which is actually pretty good for the B cap. Because Z52 Hydro, 6-kilometer range, you park it up either at the edge of the cap or you rush it out against the rock, and it can contest that cap basically for the entire game without getting killed. So.
And last weekend, we saw lots of pairs of Zeds, like one on each side, just sitting either side of that cap, hydroing, counter-hydroing, as well as obviously 2 radar cruisers who usually sit in the middle as well. It looks like today that's going to be Tambor sitting on the south side for YOINK. Just waiting to see what SURI4 do. It looks like maybe Newbie is going to be covering that cap, but from a slightly different position from normal. Normally you'd expect them to be in D6 over here, but actually Newbie is a little bit further back and on the other side. Radar already out against Biz, just in range there. Biz will ride that radar, leave the cap, and then undoubtedly will go back in again.
Both Yamatos actually shot at this Conquer. Conquer actually has to be careful because it's all 32mm armor, and Yamato overmatches 32. So fortunately they miss, but
so before the game, before the match started, we were talking about something about Conqueror to do with legendaries. Do you want to explain what you were saying?
So possibly, I don't know if they're actually running it because we can't actually tell the builds they're running from spectator view, but possibly they could be running Conqueror Legendary, which actually makes it so that it has Thunder maneuverability, which means it gets a better rudder shift, it gets better tire traverse. It just makes it more comfortable to play the Conqueror. The only downside it has is you replace it with concealment. So your concealment, instead of being 12.3, which is really strong, it goes up to 13.7, which is the biggest downside, but I think it's kind of worth it just for the comfort of the Thunder maneuverability, for sure.
Yeah, they definitely get played pretty much like a cruiser, don't they, with playing in the open water, usually in a kiting position. I've just seen in the background that Sands just got absolutely smacked by something. I didn't see where their shells came from. Or whether it was torpedoes. Actually, it could be torps.
He's down to 14k. He needs to be careful here. I mean, he's behind the smoke, but...
those were gearing torpedoes, and there are a suspicious number coming out of the backside of the smoke screen, so I suspect it was a couple of torps. Yeah, Sanj just limping off there, running the heel and a radar at the same time. As I suspected, Biz did go back to B and has capped B between those radars.
Alright, so I think what SURI4 is going to try to do here, so they're Des Moines walking to the 1 line with this Grozovoy, so I assume the Grozovoy is going to smoke it towards that island. Normally people like bringing Des Moines to the island, because when you actually get it to the island, it's a very strong spot. It's really hard to kill. But the issue is getting it to the island.
Yeah, I know from, particularly from clan battles, this bottom corner on the YOINK side, like G3, top of G3, it's quite normal to sit a cruiser there, or as is currently the case, sit a battleship a little bit further back, so that you can shoot that 1-2 line run that the Des Moines has to make down to the island.
I don't think, though, the YOINK have really anything to counter this. I mean, the Des Moines can really walk. It's a Conquer, yes, but it's just a Conquer. Normally, you need at least something else to apply pressure on that run. The Minotaur is not really going to do it from the 1 line. And CV's in a foreign state is kind of alone right now, honestly.
Yamato shells out on Mono, who is just touching the border there, and those shells just missed the rear end of Mono. Clem... probably not going to... If there's no reason to smoke, Clem probably will not smoke Skytech. Probably just waiting to see if Skytech gets detected. Yamato actually taking shots against the Kleber.
CVs are in a fine state. It's in actually a really tough spot here because he's kind of alone. I mean, the Minotaur is there, but he can't really support him too much. And the Conqueror is quite far away. Like, if he can't leave, because if he tries to leave, the destroyers will just shoot him from both sides of this island. For the Des Moines Raider. Actually, here, Astaroth's actually leaving, maybe trying to get a shot on him. Clem is actually lining up on the one line.
We're just taking the camera over to the other side because there's a lot of action going on Charlie. There's a lot of focus fire going on in lots of different directions at the same time, if that's the thing. So Elsa coming under a bit of fire there. This Dream also, and even Nova right at the back in the Yamato getting shot at by, I think that was Moskva.
Des Moines actually radar Flaxer here. He's actually shooting at him. Does end up resetting Flaxer. He needs to be careful. Flaxer cannot beach here. Okay, he actually manages the turn. Oh, he did beach. Does get chunked a bit. He's still in radar range. He does have to be careful.
Yeah, I'm actually going to turn on the green team's view here just so you can see what Surya can see. They can definitely still see Flaxer.
Flaxer took half his HP for that beach. Unfortunate for him.
Down to 7-6. 6-2 going around the back of the island, still on fire, unspotted now. Let's turn back on the view so you can see the health.
Choco was spotted though in the open as well.
Okay, this is the Des Moines that took the couple of torpedoes earlier.
He did manage to heal back up, but he's now back down to 15k, and everything really can shoot him right now. So he needs to be really careful and probably just go dark.
Got very lucky with that AP coming cross map there. Kleber, I'm just seeing in the background, Kleber in A over there is getting the cap. Grozhevoy reversing back around the corner against the...
here it is.
YOINK Kleber.
So the Kleber is actually shooting the Kleber here, which forces it to go forward into the Grozhevoy, and the Grozhevoy is going to get torps out. He needs to be really careful. So if he's in a fine state, he's in a really tough spot right now, for sure. Skytech actually took massive damage here, too. Oh, he's down to 14.
Guessing that was the Conqueror lobbing the corner of the island. You have to be really, really careful. If you're when you're in that Des Moines position there, not only is it a dangerous place to get to, it's actually a really dangerous place to be, because in this game, when you sit next to an island, it does gradually push you away from the island. And you do need to do a bit of work to stay up next to the island. Particularly low islands like that, where if you're spotted, potentially distant battleships can drop shells down over the island. And that's actually something that these teams will have been practicing, particularly the battleship players. They will have been practicing, where do I have to be to drop shells behind a certain island? Okay, over on over on C, we've got Salem and Gearing actually both sitting within the cap here.
Yeah.
They have managed to cap that.
Suri's gonna find it a bit of a hard time, I think, to push, just because YOINK have two Moskvas on both sides of the cap for radar coverage, and they also have the Salem, which isn't that easy to kill. On the other hand, the Des Moines for Surya is really low. So if this Gearing wants to try contest, he's gonna find it really hard.
Yeah,
actually, there's
I
torps.
think Surya obviously have to try and get rid of CVs in a refined state, which they are in the progress of doing.
The Gearing. He's dead.
Yeah, okay, so Gearing from Surya goes down. CVs are in a fine state, is also in a lot of trouble here. Sandwiched between Astaroth and Clem, who's sitting right next to him.
Astaroth's also taking massive damage for this, though. He needs to be careful.
Yeah, he's
so
even got the Yamato.
It's not that good.
Okay, CVs is down. So that puts A-caps firmly in the hands of Surya, with only the Conqueror and the Minotaur there to contest. But Surya do have some work to do. They really need to get Astaroth into B. But of course you've got the Moskva of Tambor there, and Astaroth is on really low health. Okay, radar out from Tambor. Astaroth actually not in range of that radar. May not even realize that that radar has gone off. Actually, definitely won't know that radar has gone off because none of the Surya team are actually in range. Oh, unless he was just... Yeah, I think Astaroth may have just been inside the radar range there. Did get shot at slightly. Which is good for Astaroth, because now Astaroth knows that that radar will be down soon.
He still has to be careful, though. The Gearing can outspot him if he goes tries contest that cap, so...
So Astaroth may decide to run for the island, because Surya will know where those destroyers are, roughly.
Nemo's actually getting focused pretty hard in A. Even, like, this Minotaur is doing a lot of damage to him on his side.
Yeah, you've got to respect that AP for sure on your superstructure.
Right, so Astaroth's actually running into B. And he does actually see MK Biz.
Ooh,
He does see
this,
him.
yeah, as you said, this is a risky run. That's a reload booster. 840. No heal on a Clever.
No heal, nothing. Nothing can really shoot him, I think, right now.
Yeah, this, I think this was the plan. Try and get in behind the island. Ooh. Try and get behind the higher part of the island.
He's safe where he is right now,
yeah.
I think. Nothing can really shoot him.
There's no Z52 with a Hydro. Mosfar's radar is currently on cooldown. More shells coming in. They might be blind. Yep. Biz taking a little bit of heat there to try and get Astaroth spotted. Okay, so let's see what happens to the points once Astaroth gets this cap. So currently, YOINK sitting at 680. SURI4 just crossed 400 points. 9 minutes left on the game clock. So once this cap ticks, we will get an idea of what happens to the points. So now, with these two caps, it will be, by the end of the game clock, a SURI4 win. Which means the ball is now in YOINK's court.
They do have to do something. They do have an HP advantage by around 100,000, so they do have HP to play with. Oh, Astra does actually go down. Oh, wait, right now, YOINK actually win the game, right now.
Yeah.
With one cap.
So, Astaroth went down. Tambor took a big shot from someone. Nemo again coming under a bit of fire. This Torp's coming in towards Nemo. As long as Nemo keeps reversing, those Torps are fine, although Des Moines is also pushing forward. Hopefully with a Hydro running. Ooh, okay, that one hit the rock, so Skytech will be safe. If Skytech can get a radar off and get one of these destroyers, that would be a big win. There, okay, so he's running Hydra. Oh, is that a radar? I think that's a radar. Yeah, it is radar. But nothing currently in range. You can see there. I'm trying to get as close as I can. 10-7 to Biz. Des Moines radar range, obviously 10.
They need a kill or contest C. Contesting C is probably out of the question because there's so many ships there. But a kill, I mean, the Flexer is low. Biz is low-ish. But they cannot lose a ship in the meantime. They have 5 minutes to do something.
It's a very interesting position to be in, to have two caps but still lose.
Yeah.
Because you effectively then you've got to overextend to try and win.
Yeah.
And the enemy team knows that, you know, they can just sit on their one cap. They've got less map to defend.
They can literally just defend C. That's all. And it's not that hard. I mean, they got the Salem and Moskva and the other Moskva for radar coverage, and they got a Yamato to sit there.
Wano actually being super effective against Skytech here in the Des Moines.
He does have to be careful. He's on the 15k. Now out of smoke.
Torpedoes
Nothing can really spot him right now.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering how... I'm guessing Moskva radar. Wondering how Skytech got spotted. It must have been the Moskva radar.
Yeah, it's... I mean, the Moskva's 15 away, so I'm actually not sure how Skytech actually got spotted there.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, it may have been
4 minutes.
Yeah, so 4 minutes on the points clock, 6 minutes on the game clock.
Clem is making his way towards C, slowly.
Yeah, SURI4 do have a little bit of time on their hands. And this is one of those games where, you know, you click your fingers and everything changes. So let's see what Clem does. I mean, honestly, right now,
it's gonna be really difficult.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine being in Clem's shoes right now, and your caller says, "Hey, Clem, can you go and get C?" Or can you go and spot by C? Like, I think he would be...
It's very unlikely. Because he can't even spot this Moskva because there's so many islands. He can just sit behind them.
That's the danger over on this C cap.
Here's the first radar.
One of the reasons I like this map is that the 3 caps all have a very different character. 3 completely different maps within one map, essentially.
Yeah. C is covered in heavy islands. B has the very open water, but the island in the middle. And A has the 1-line rock, which you can play, and the 3-line rocks.
Okay,
Which are
Clem
quite interesting.
taking quite a few shells there from
That's just
Climax
from
in
one
the
radar
Mossberg.
too. That's the first radar out of 3. He has to deal with 3, and basically it's perma radar. He cannot do anything. He's already down to half HP.
Climax did take a little bit of health in return there, but still comfortably on 37k.
2 minutes.
Just a reminder that SURI4, although they have 2 caps, if you look at the top, the red diamond is filled in on the YOINK side, meaning that if nothing else changes, YOINK will win in 2 minutes and 36 seconds. So SURI4 have to do something. They have to get some kills to actually take the match. 900 points just crossed. SURI4, if they're going to do something, need to do it right now. What that's going to be, I don't know. Skytech radar out.
I'm trying to look at this, see like what can they do to win the game. I mean, they have to push, but
and the thing is, because of the fact that World of Warships is a slower paced action game, in order to take an action when there's a minute left or 2 minutes left, you have to already be moving before that time gets hit, you know. So, you know, looking at what SURI4 are doing right now, I'm thinking, okay, well, what's your plan? Because if you're going to do something, you need to already be doing it in order for the clock not to run out before you actually start doing the thing that you're trying to do.
And they have 100k HP disadvantage.
And if they lose a ship, if they lose Skytech here, for example, they lose the game
immediately.
And so, they need to be cautious they don't lose a ship, but they also need to actually get on with it. Okay.
Clem actually pushing up.
Also, Clem is doing something. Clem is actually pushing in pretty hard here. They need to do something, but I'm not sure this is the thing.
But pushing aggressive way into 3.
I guess they were gambling on spotting Flaxer. Just hard, like face-to-face spotting.
The focus looks to be on this 10-line Moskva, but it's a Moskva. Doesn't die easily. It's gonna take ages for it to die. So
Clem is really paying for trying to get that spot. Potentially.
No, there's only really one torp, and the Moskva's hydroing, so he sees it and accelerating to dodge it.
Points are up to 976 with 1 cap. That's 33 seconds.
30. Yep. 30 seconds to kill something. Like, I don't think so. Really.
The Flaxer has just run away, essentially. There's no point. They're just sending their destroyers straight south to the bottom of the map because they do not need to be anywhere near the battle right now.
Yeah.
Everyone else just needs to tank. You've got Biz actually is under fire.
Choco's also really
2-9, but 2 ticks left on the clock.
3 seconds.
1 tick left on the clock.
GG.
Nice patience there from YOINK.
Yeah.
So that means that SURI4 have failed to grab the opportunity in that last match there, and YOINK will go through. SURI4, fantastic tournament. I've been watching them over the last couple of weekends. They've played really, really well, but YOINK have played exceptionally well in this tournament, and they will be going through. Thank you, Maltese. I'll see you a bit later for the next match. And now back to Prague.
Congratulations to YOINK. They do now advance to the quarterfinals. And SURI4 put up a good show, but unfortunately couldn't make it to this stage. I know that some of you are here from other channels, and I do want to apologize. Apparently there was an issue with other streamers that wanted to get into this match. Apparently there were so many streamers that were trying to get into this match that we didn't have enough spectator slots. So the team decided to basically be fair to everybody and not let anybody join, which is of course not the way we want to do this. We give all of you promotion and drops and so on, and we want as many as possible to do stream King of the Sea. So we already talked to the team to be able to get as many streamers in as possible and cross-hopping if a game is ending earlier. So sorry for that confusion. There's no bad intention here. We all want you to see World of Warships in King of the Sea on the channels that you want to watch them. So please take that apology. There was no bad intention behind it, and hopefully for the next matches you can watch it on whatever channel you want to watch it on. And yeah, with this, let's take a look at how actually YOINK managed to take this off of SURI4 together with Pingu and with Painzor. Welcome back, guys. So Pingu, what do you think? What was the core like strength here that Yoink got the win.
I think this time it was clearly the better trade-off they took against each other. As Yoink just had much more HP in the end of the game. They managed to cap the Bravo and the Charlie cap. They had one thing, Painter will agree, is there was a bit of luck in the beginning with the torpedoes. Of the gearing against the Des Moines and the smoke train. I think this is a big part of why Syria lost this game, because they just lost the half Des Moines, the radar cruiser, in the smoke train on sea, which was pretty unlucky. And of course later on the gearing as well took a torp, showing broadside, and died, which makes it almost impossible to fight back on the sea side, because you have no DD, no ship with good concealment to come back into the cap.
Especially after they traded the Kleber as well at the B cap.
Especially that, yeah. I think that was a big part of the winning there. What do you think, Painter?
I think the two biggest problems that came down was they lost their gearing at C, as you said, and they lost the Kleber in B. So towards the mid game, they were down on points, so they needed to retake B cap. They then retook B cap by getting the Kleber into the B cap, but they got it down to 840 health. So the only thing that Kleber could do is sit there, wait for reinforcements. The problem is he then decided he wanted to peek out around the corner. And when he did peek out, there was a gearing ready and waiting, and the gearing just
took the advantage and killed him.
So if we take a look at the map scene, like we can just like show you just generally how the play ended up being. Can we switch over to that?
Yes,
the map
just talk about it. We'll come in a second.
All right, fine. All right, so there we go, magic. So Yoink had forced their way down. They'd taken complete control over they take control over this island. After finally managing to dislodge the single Kleber with his Minotaur backing him up on, and then the Yamato here, it took them a good 5 to 6 minutes to just dislodge this Kleber. And they also lost a lot of health on their Kleber, which was parked up here trying to spot, just from the shots from the Minotaur and this Kleber, which meant that he was very low. And when he finally had to rotate over here, he got spotted on the way in by the opposing Kleber, lost most of his health, and this gearing was coming back here, just peeks out, goes reverse, gets popped, and we have like absolutely no entry points left for them to get anywhere near the sea cap, because this Des Moines had already been killed. This gearing had ate the torpedo. That's where the smoke screen was, sorry. And it just leaves you with, how do you get anything in there? The solution was they rotated their remaining Grozavoy. I've just pressed that button again. 1 second. I'm not very good at that. I need to unbind that button. So they rotated the Grozavoy over to the sea cap, but that took ages, absolutely ages. And by the time they got there, they only had one available target to try and focus down, which was the Moskva, and they didn't manage that.
I mean, there was just too much HP left on the team of Yoink. They had a good positioning. To mention there should be the battleships that helped on the A cap against the Des Moines of Syria, that sat behind the island. And you might think he saved there, but no, not for the Yamato, sitting away 27 kilometers, shooting her. And she actually managed to take away half of her HP, which forced the Des Moines to leave this position on the Kleber. So this took ages to get the Kleber of the Yoink team down. And at the time they had the A cap back, Syria had the A cap back and captured the Bravo cap. It was super close with the points, and Syria would have been the winner if nothing more happened. But sadly then the Kleber in the middle was too greedy, saw the smoke screen of the gearing and got caught. One salvo, he was down, and then the points ticked for Yoink. And at this point, there was simply more HP on the side of Yoink, and the positioning was great, and they had to do nothing else but wait for the enemy to make mistakes to push in. And in the end, they tried to push in with the Des Moines. They almost got the Kleber of Yoink. It was a brave moment there, but it was not fast enough. And yeah, I think as well, like Painzo just said, I think SURI4 should have been taken action a little bit earlier, but in the end, I think we can say everything comes down to the thing on the C cap with the smoke and the torpedoes and the good hits there. So I think the MVP should be definitely the gearing of the team YOINK there.
Exactly, and Mr. Conway, by the way, has in the background the replay of the match, so we can just bring it quickly on before we move on to the next match, which is almost, it sounds like a final that we're already going to be seeing in the round of 16 here. But yeah, this is hopefully also very interesting for you to see the map basically in just like a 1 minute recap of what actually happened in the match, and you can actually see how the DDs and ships were moving around to contest the different areas throughout the match.
Yeah, this is where we see the Kleber getting into A cap and losing the majority of his health early on. They're trying to take that cap and just being whittled down to half, so that's removed a lot of the health advantage. We also see the Des Moines and the gearing. The gearing's already dead. He got topped over at the C cap.
Exactly. At the moment he turned in, the torps came and he had nothing to do there. He couldn't avoid it, simply. It was good torpedoes there. There peaked the Kleber in the middle, just died. And then the points flipped for YOINK. And now they have simply no chance to push in without losing their ships. I mean, there is a Conqueror in the south. There's a Yamato, both almost full HP. The Minotaur on the H line there is a little bit funny. I think he just parked there to be a backup ship to recap the A cap. Now in the middle, the Des Moines just pushed in and the time runs out. And there was simply nothing to do there. Except maybe try to push earlier, to relocate the ships earlier a little bit, but it was a close one.
Yeah, so congratulations to YOINK.